Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhava. Paramananda Madhava. Okay, right. So let's go ahead and read the verses we covered before. We're going to read verse 32, 33, and we started 34. So we will review and then we will continue 34. Okay. Evam bahuvidha yajnaha vitata brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhitan sarvan evam nyatva vimokshase. Shreyan dravyamayad yajnat jnana yajnah parantapa sarvam karmakhilam partha jnane parisamapyate tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninastatvadarshinaha. Okay, so here now in chapter 4, what happened? Bhagavan Krishna, he elaborated on various kinds of yajnas, 12 yajnas, and he introduced this to Arjuna. But in verse 32, he says, there are more than this. So don't think yajnas are only 12, but there are more than this. And these are all in Brahmano Mukhe. These are all in the Vedas. Vitata, they are spread in the Vedas. And why are there so many? Adhikari Bheda, because there are very many different kinds of students that come who want to learn a deeper meaning of the scriptures. So because there are many different kinds of students, there are many different kinds of yajnas prescribed. And he says here, they're all born of action. But know that when you know this, you shall be liberated. So very beautifully in the commentary we saw last week, how should one perform these yajnas? Perform these yajnas knowing that we are not the doer, knowing that we are the actionless self amidst all action. So that was a beautiful point brought out in verse 32. Then there are so many types of yajnas. Which is superior? Which is superior? So in verse 33, very important verse, it says, Shreyan dravyamayad yajnat jnana yajna parantapa. So here, if you notice, in this verse 33, he calls Arjuna two names. First he says Parantapa, then he says Partha. So the fact that he's calling Arjuna twice means Arjuna, pay extra attention. When we're talking and then we see somebody going out of focus, then we call their name, hey. And then if we really want them to pay attention, we call their name again, right? So in the Bhagavad Gita, we don't only see what Sri Krishna is saying, but how Bhagavan Ved Vyasaji is bringing this out. He's saying Parantapa and Partha. So extra attention to this verse. Why? Because if we want to know the highest yajna, it is Jnana Yajna versus Dravyamaya Yajna. What is Dravyamaya Yajna? All the other yajnas except Jnana Yajna. Yajna means sacrifice. That was the term that they used in the Vedic times, but it is you can take it as a ritual. So the ritual or the practice of jnana or knowledge, practice of knowledge is superior than all other practices. Why? Didn't you say that in all of them action is involved? Even in the practice of knowledge, action is involved. We are listening, we are reflecting. Even in contemplation, action is involved. The mind is doing something here. Why is knowledge so superior? So we saw last time that knowledge reveals to us something that is permanent. So the fruit or the phala of knowledge is that which is permanent, the self, Brahman. What knowledge does is leads us to that permanent self. But the other practices, they lead us to impermanence. The other practices, such as what we saw here about the act of, let's say, charity, the act of prayer, the act of giving, the act of karma yoga, the act of bhakti yoga, all of these practices, what they do is they work on the mind, right? They purify the mind. And they purify the mind to a certain extent. But again, after some time, the mind may become impure, right? They make the mind focused to a certain extent, especially upasana and bhakti yoga. But again, the mind can be unfocused. So they bring about these results. No doubt they are helpful, but after all, these results are impermanent. So knowledge is superior because it leads us to the permanent result. It leads us to who we already are. Knowledge is also superior because the other practices, the practices I've mentioned, karma yoga, raja yoga, bhakti yoga, what they do is they make the ego or the ahankara very sattvic, right? Very serene, good, beautiful. But in that, there's always a danger of pride. There's always a danger of doership, enjoyership. But in the sacrifice of knowledge or the practice of knowledge, it removes the very ego or ahankara. It removes the ego. So knowledge is superior because it removes the ego and it reveals to us something that is permanent, something that we already are. So the question comes, should I drop all other practices and just pursue knowledge? That will not work. That will not work because many of us are not purified to that extent where knowledge can actually give its result. Remember, knowledge can only yield result to a mind that's very pure and single-pointed. So if I say knowledge is superior, drop everything else, good luck to all of us. So keep the practices, those yajnas, those spiritual practices, keep them going. And in time, the mind will come to a certain level where it is ready to actually see the results of knowledge. What is the result of knowledge? We will see, it will come. It will see the result of knowledge. Now, another question can come. Should I just keep doing bhakti yoga and karma yoga without pursuing knowledge? Right now, my mind's a little bit of a mess. It's all over the place. And I just don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing. I don't know anything. I don't know where to start. So should I just drop the practice of knowledge because my mind is just not in a great state? No, don't drop it, because something will go in. Something in satsang will hit us. And we never know what that trigger could be. So keep pursuing jnana yoga along with bhakti yoga, raja yoga, and karma yoga. Keep pursuing them together. What will happen after some time? What will happen after some time is knowledge will yield its result. And when knowledge yields its result, then no more can you pursue all paths together. You cannot, right? Because the very, very fact about knowledge is it removes the doer. It removes doership. It removes the reality of the world. And it reveals the oneness between God and the individual self. So when one comes to knowledge, then that knowledge actually reveals the truth of all beings, and one's life is centered on just remaining as the actionless self amidst all action, like what we saw. So even if that enlightened being seems to be acting, seems to be worshiping, seems to be doing all the things that we do, they do it with a very, very different vision, that they are not the doer and everything is just happening in and through them. And even when they worship God or Bhagavan or Goddess, they are very much aware of the oneness and the essence of Bhagavan and their own self. So slowly, slowly, this is how one can walk in the spiritual path. Then, somebody might become really curious. Where do we start? How do we start to properly walk in the spiritual path? I properly want to walk here. How do I start? Give me tips. So Sri Krishna anticipated that question. So here now we will continue verse 34. He said, Tad vidhi, know that truth, that knowledge, that you are the actionless self amidst all action. Know that knowledge. How? Pranipatena, by long prostration. Pariprashnena, by question. Sevaya, and by service. Then what happens? Te, to you, jnanam, this knowledge of the self, upadekshanti, this knowledge people will instruct you, upadekshanti, people will instruct you on the knowledge of the self. Who? Jnaninaha tatvadarshinaha. Jnaninaha, the wise, tatvadarshinaha, those who have realized the truth. So know that by long prostration, by question and service, the wise who have realized the truth will instruct you in that knowledge. So last time we saw pranipatena, what it means to do namaskar, a very, very beautiful mudra, or a very beautiful sign of our surrender to the teacher. I'm sure you all know this one story, that one student went to a teacher and he said, please teach me what you know. And so the teacher said, okay, let me pour you a cup of water. And so the student sat down and the teacher brought a cup and poured water and kept pouring and pouring. The cup was full. It was overflowing. It was overflowing. And so the student said, won't you stop? Won't you stop? The cup is overflowing. And so the teacher said, you are overflowing right now. How can I pour knowledge into you? First, you have to empty yourself out. So this pranipatena, this namaskar that we do is a sign that I'm ready to empty myself out. I'm ready to empty myself out. In the traditional, Gurukula system, how the Shishyas, what they would do, the students, they would bring wood. They would bring sticks of wood to the teacher as a symbol that they want to learn. What were these sticks of wood? These sticks resembled their ego, and they wanted their ego to be burnt in the fire of knowledge. So this is how they approach the teacher. So the first thing we need to do when we approach a teacher is pranipata, empty ourselves of our own likes and dislikes, our own preconceived notions, our own stubbornness, and also our own distractions and disturbances. Many times when we come to satsang, we are carrying a heavy load in our minds that this is happening in the house, or this is happening at work, and this is happening with the family. So we're not able to learn. So pranipatena, when we come to a teacher, we have to come empty of all of those things in our mind. That's why we tell you to come also at 6:20. So we have 10 minutes to empty everything. We don't just come and sit. In any class, anything that we start, there's normally like a sankirtan, there's a moment of silence, there's something like that. So we have a chance to do that. Pranipatena. Then after that, pariprashnena. Prashna is to ask a question. But very interestingly, this word pari means after examining life, ask a question. So that questions should be a meaningful one wherein the student has examined life or examined what they have learned, or whether they have seen some kind of conflicting things between two things, and they have a doubt, and they know also how to present the doubt. So it's a clear question of somebody who has examined life or examined a scripture, examined something. And what is the question about? The question must be about the quest to truth, about our spiritual quest. Because here in front of us, we have a teacher who's capable of taking us out of samsara. A teacher who's capable of taking us out of samsara. And what do we ask? How do I deal with stress? That you can ask anybody, you can ask Google also. But when you have a teacher in front of you capable of taking you out of samsara, then you must ask that question, what can I do to break free from this scorching pain of samsara? Durvara samsara dabagni taptam, it's burning, and I cannot take that burning anymore. Please relieve me of this pain. Pariprashna. Then, is that enough? No. Sevaya. Sevaya means by service to that guru, to that teacher. Seva can be in many ways, in being able to support whatever is required of that guru, of that teacher. But the most important seva is to be able to live that teaching. But to be able to live that teaching, first one has to remember and reflect. So a very important seva is to remember and reflect on what has been studied, and then to try and live it in one's life. That is a seva. Why is this seva required? This seva helps the teacher to tune with the student. Before the teacher is able to give the knowledge, there has to be some kind of tuning. There's somebody who's saying they cannot hear. Is everybody able to hear? Yes? Raise your hand. Yeah? Okay. So please check your, please check your computer or your device, but I think everybody else can hear. So Seva is where the teacher can tune in and see what the student requires. And it's also the platform by which the ego can be broken. Because the book cannot break our ego. When we read the books, when we go online, we can learn beautiful knowledge. But that book cannot break the ego. And the other thing the teacher also does is the teacher pushes the student beyond their limits. Sometimes, we underestimate what we can do. We're not aware of our potential. We're not aware of how far we can reach. Because what do we know? We just know what we've been doing every day. So we cannot see how far we can actually walk in the path. But the beauty of the teacher is the teacher can see 10 steps ahead of us, can look at us and say, this is how far, this is what can come out of this person. This is how that person can evolve and grow. And the teacher also knows how to rub us the correct way so that the ego gets broken. So this Sevaya is a very beautiful tradition that we have where we spend time in service of the teacher. Even King Janaka, when he had to learn from Ashtavakraji, what did Ashtavakraji ask him? He said, if you want to learn from me, you have to give me your body, your mind, and all your wealth. This is what he said to King Janaka. But King Janaka, he really wanted this knowledge. So he said, okay, I will give you everything. My body, my mind, my wealth. And so Ashtavakra said, the first thing you need to do is you come and sit here where all the shoes are. The shoes and everything of the people, where they are, you sit here. Now this is a king. A king who sits on a throne, who's served by everybody, has to sit there where all the shoes are. And he tells King Janaka, I know your mind is on your wealth, and his mind was there. Your wealth is mine. You don't have to worry about it. And then he tells him, now you give me your mind. And there and then, Ashtavakraji gave King Janaka the highest teaching. And after that, Ashtavakraji said, I don't need your wealth. You take it all back. I just wanted your full focused attention. And I wanted to be able to see how much you are willing to give to gain this knowledge. So many people, so many times we go to so many organizations, and these are people, they're professionals, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they have PhD, but they will spend time in a temple and sweep the floor. They'll spend time and arrange and fix everybody's shoes. Sometimes we have to wonder, they are capable of earning money, very smart, very intelligent, they have all the wealth in the world, but they come to do seva. Why? Because it's that rubbing of the ego. So 3 things are required for a student. Very often we ask, when will we get a teacher? When will we get Guru in front of us? But we don't think how we can be right students. First, we have to be fit students. So the first one is the ability to surrender. The second one is the ability to inquire deeply. And the third one is the ability to serve. Keep away our likes and dislikes, and to be fragile. Let me make myself fragile so that the ego can be broken. Even Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji, Swami Tapovan Maharaj scolded him. And one time his Swami Tapovan Maharaj, his kurta was torn. And he blamed Swami Chinmayananda. And so much he blamed him, that Swami Chinmayananda ji, he felt like leaving. But his Guru Bhai said, no, he's just testing. He's just testing to see if you can surpass that feeling of that ego. And so he stayed with Swami Tapovan Maharaj ji and he gained the knowledge. So this is what we have to be willing to do. Not easy, but if we are willing, then we become so blessed. Okay, and who will teach us? What are the characteristics of this person who will teach us? First, it says, Jnaninaha. Jnaninaha here is to say, Shrotriya. Shrotriya, the one who has mastery of the scriptures. This is not somebody who just studied one part or another part, but somebody who understands the essence of the scriptures in its entirety. Someone who is able to know Atma in this verse means what, Atma in that verse means what. Somebody who has that mastery of the scriptures and somebody who can also communicate the scriptures. Because sometimes many people have mastery over something, but if we ask them to explain, they cannot explain. We become so confused. So Shrotriya means mastery and at the same time, ability to communicate, ability to tune to the student and know how to communicate to that type of student. Because not all the students are the same. So how to communicate to that type of student. When we were saying our opening prayers today, I was thinking how beautiful our Om Sahana Vavatu is. Om Sahanau Avatu means may we be protected by this knowledge. Sahanau Bhunaktu, that may we enjoy this knowledge, the teacher and student. Sahaviryam Karavavahe, may the teacher and student both put effort, because knowledge works when both put effort. Not only when the teacher puts effort or not only when the student puts effort, but both must do it. And tejasvinau adhitam astu, whatever is studied, may it shine brightly in our minds. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And may it keep us peaceful amidst all of the adidevic, all of the phenomenal forces that may cause disturbance, adibhotik, all the forces around us, adhyatmic, any disturbances that may come within, may we be peaceful amidst all of this. So this is that tuning. So teacher and student, jnaninaha. Then what has to happen? This teacher, this being also has to be tattvadarshi. Tattvadarshi. Tattva means truth. Darshi, the one who has seen the truth, who has realized the truth. This is the teacher. Why somebody who has realized the truth? Because this is somebody who's clearly walked the path, who's clearly seen what's there in the path. What are the obstacles? How to overcome them? How to get past them? And if this way is not working, then try this way. If this way is not working, then try that way. So that teacher must be tattvadarshi, the one who has seen beyond, who has seen the truth, because only that person will have utmost clarity. It's very different to read about a place, read about a particular temple, and visit it, isn't it? Two different things. When you read about a temple, you can explain everything about the temple. But when you visit the temple, you can explain the vibration of the temple, the people who come to the temple, all the secret passages in the temple, the best time to come, the when it's least crowded, All of those things you only know when you actually go to that temple. Somebody might be able to read how to make dal. Everything you will know. How much ginger, how much water to boil, how much dal to put, everything you will know. But somebody who actually makes it will only know how it should taste like, what it should taste like. And if it's not tasting that way, what's it lacking? So that teacher must not only be Shrotriya, but also Brahmanishta. Brahmanishta, someone who has seen that truth and revels in it, is able to revel in it. Now the question comes, do we have a teacher like that? Well, we're very, very fortunate that we have Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji. As we are learning the Gita, I'm also a student with you. I'm also a Shishya. We are learning from Gurudev's commentary. We are learning from Adi Shankaracharyaji's commentary also. We are learning from the words of Bhagavan Krishna himself and the masterful strokes of Vedavyasaji. So we are learning from this entire parampara. And as I was reflecting on this verse, I thought, let's just see what our parampara is, because in one of the commentaries, Adi Shankaracharyaji says, it's very important that who we learn from comes under a lineage, under a tradition. It's very important that that happens so that we can see the genuinity of that knowledge and how it has been practiced and it has been tested time and again. So we'll just do like a preview of our Guru Parampara and how we are actually gaining this knowledge so that we can have some appreciation. The other day I was telling our teachers, our Bal-Vihar teachers, that in Viveka Chudamani, Adi Shankaracharyaji says, 3 things are very, very rare. What is that? Manushyatvam, the human birth. Mumukshutvam, that desire for liberation. And Mahapurusha Samshrayaha, that connection to a teacher. These 3 things are very, very rare. And if we have them, then we must pursue this path of self-realization to its fullest, to the fullest extent possible. So let us see now this lineage that we are part of, so that hopefully we can feel some more mumukshutva towards this path. Okay, so here, this is the Advaita Guru Parampara. Parampara means lineage, unbroken lineage. So from teacher to student, then that student becomes a teacher, then passes on to the student, etc. There are 2 very famous verses. This is the first one, Sada Shiva Samarambha, means it starts from Bhagavan Shiva. Shankaracharya Madhyamam, then to Adi Shankaracharyaji, Asmadacharya Pariyantam, and continuing up to our Guru, Vande Guru Parampara. Salutations to this entire lineage. So this is one verse that's often chanted. Then the one that is, the one that's more explicit is this one, Narayanam Padmabhuvam Vasishtam. I'll read this and then I've broken it down the next few slides so that we can see. Shaktin chatat putra parasharamcha vyasam shukam gauda padam mahantam govinda yogindra mathasya shishyam Shri Shankaracharya mathasya padma padancha hastamalakam cha shishyam tam totakam vartika karamanyan Asmad Gurun Santatamanatosmi. To all of these gurus, our continuous prostrations and salutations. Now, don't say one is starting from Shiva, one is starting from Narayana. Are they different? The same, huh? The same reality expressing through Shiva is expressing through Narayana. So it starts from here, from Bhagavan, because we know that this entire knowledge is there. It is present. We say, Yasya Nishvasitam Veda. This knowledge is the breath of God. It is ever present. It is ever present, but it needs to be tuned into. So from Narayana comes to Brahmaji. Those who tune into this knowledge are called our rishis, the seers of truth. Here we have Vasishta, Shakti, Parashara, Vyasa, and Shuka. So Vasishta Rishi, we know, is the guru of Sri Rama. Vasishta, Shakti is his son, and then his son is Parashara Rishi. Then his son is Vedavyasji. Vedavyasji, who compiled all of the Vedas, who's written the Mahabharata, where the Bhagavad Gita is, the Brahma Sutras, and also Puranas. And then his son is Shuka Rishi. So these are the seers of truth. Then it comes to Gaudapada, and then to Govinda Bhagavad Pada, and to Shankara Bhagavad Pada. So Adi Shankaracharya ji studied with Govinda Bhagavad Pada, then he studied with Gaudapada. Gaudapada is the one who has written the Karikas for the Mandukya Upanishad. Then what Adi Shankaracharya ji did was very, very beautiful. He not only walked the length and the breadth of Bharat innumerable times, but he established 4 mathas. These are 4 centers of knowledge in each part of Bharat. So you can see in the east, he assigned one of his disciples, Padmapada, to propagate this knowledge, to share this knowledge. And he also gave him the following of the Rig Veda, Prajnanam Brahma. Then in the south, we have Sureshwaracharya ji, and this is the Sringeri Mat, and this follows the Yajur Veda, Aham Brahmasmi. Then in the west, Hastamalakacharya, the Dwaraka Pita, and they follow the Samaveda, Tattvamasi, and Totakacharya ji in the north, Jyotir Matha Pitam, and Ayam Atma Brahma, Atharva Veda. So these are the 4 different centers that Adi Shankaracharya ji put. He assigned these 4 different centers. He assigned 4 different disciples, and he gave them a Veda or a Mahavakya to focus on, right? But not that they only teach that Mahavakya, but to focus on. And then he also established this Dashanami Sannyasa order. So this Sannyasa order with 10 different sort of names associated with it. And these Dashanami Sannyasi order is also linked to a particular mata. Okay, so we have the whole Guru Parampara, then we have Adi Shankaracharya ji establishing these 4 matas. Then we have these Dashanami Sannyasa order, and they're different. They have like Tirtha, there is Giri, there is Ananda. They all have different names listed under them. Now what happens then? So this slide I missed, but in Satya Yuga, Narayan ji and Brahma ji were teachers. Treta Yuga, Vasishta ji, Shakti, Parashara Rishi. Dwapar Yuga, Vedavyasa ji and Sri Shukacharya. And in Kali Yuga, Gaudapadacharya, Govinda Bhagavad Padacharya, and Sri Shankaracharya, and the subsequent lineage. Now so I said this Dashanami Sannyas order, right, with 10 names. I was trying to trace Gurudev, no, Chinmaya Mission. So Chinmaya Mission belongs to the Sringeri Mata, right? And the first Acharya of this was Sri Shureshwar Acharya ji. And the primary Veda is the Yajur Veda, and the Mahavakya is Aham Brahmasmi. So in this tradition, all the sannyasis get the name Saraswati after. So it's like Sri Chinmayananda Saraswati. And then in the other traditions, as I told you, it's Giri, or some is Ananda, some is Tirtha, like that. They get those names accordingly. So now why I wanted to show you this is to show you that what a lineage we have. It's incredible, it's not just somebody coming and teaching on their own. It is an unbroken sampradaya, unbroken tradition of Guru Shishya, again and again and again, across all the yugas. It's an unbroken lineage of Guru and Shishya from time immemorial. And when we learn under such a one who comes under a tradition, who is a Shrotriya, who has mastery of the scriptures, who is abiding in the scriptures, and one very important qualification is akamahata, who's not stung by any desire for the world, then that knowledge will be gained. That knowledge will be gained, and there is absolutely no doubt about it. So we are learning from Sajaparampara. So this is how to gain that knowledge. Now, what happens when we get that knowledge? When we have that teacher, when we have that student, and when they meet, there's fireworks. What is the glory of that knowledge that is gained? So here, in the next 3 verses, we will see the glory of the knowledge that is gained by that beautiful meeting, by that beautiful tuning, and that beautiful oneness of the soul. Right. Let us read now 35. Yajñātvā na punarmoham.
Yajñātvā na punarmoham.
Evam yasyasi Pandava.
Evam yasyasi Pandava.
Yena bhutanyasheshena.
Yena bhutanyasheshena.
Drakṣasyatman yatho mayi.
Drakṣasyatmana manyatho mayi.
Yajñātvā na punarmoham. Evam yasyasi Pandava. Yena bhutanyasheshena. Drakṣasyatman yatho mayi. It's a very, very beautiful verse also. So all these verses that come at the end of the 4th chapter are gems, real gems. So he says, Yad Nyatva, Nyatva, having known Yat, having known which, that ultimate truth, that ultimate knowledge from that teacher who went through a qualified student. So you must put all of that in perspective. What happens? Evam moham, this moha, this delusion that you have, O Arjuna, na punaha yasyasi, you will not be deluded like this again. O Pandava, again he's calling Arjuna Pandava. What is this knowledge? Yena, this knowledge is by which Bhutani asheshena, means all bhutani beings, asheshena, without leaving anything behind, drakshasi, you will see in all beings without leaving anything behind, atmani. You will see all beings in your own self. All beings in your own self, atmani, atha-mayi, and also in me. So Sri Krishna is saying, knowing that, you shall not, O Pandava, again get deluded like this. And by that, you shall see all beings in yourself and also in me. So what are these delusions that Arjuna had? So let's just, take a step back at Arjuna's delusions. One delusion is dharma samudha chetaha. I'm confused right now. I don't know what to do. He's in the middle of the battlefield and he says, I am dharma samudha chetaha. I don't know what to do. I'm confused about my dharma. Meaning I know what's my dharma, but it's very, very hard to do my dharma right now. I'm confused, I'm deluded because I see all of my teachers, my dear ones, in the battlefield. And how can I fight them? How can I kill them and have their blood stained on all of these things around me? His delusion is that I will be the killer. I will be the killer and they will be killed. I will be the killer and they will be killed. His delusion is he thinks himself to be this limited body, mind, intellect, ego. He thinks of himself as Arjuna. He does not know that he is something much greater than that. And he also thinks that this world is separate from him, that he is living in the world, not that the world is appearing in him. He thinks that this world is different. And he also thinks that the nature of other beings is that they will die. No, the Atman is unborn and it never dies. So Arjuna has all of these illusions coming into Bhagavad Gita. And Sri Krishna says, being deluded in this way, when you gain knowledge, you will never be deluded again. So once that knowledge is gained fully, and that full realization has dawned, there is no scope for being deluded again. So don't think if I gain knowledge, can I be ignorant? No. But then sometimes people feel like, I got it, but yet I'm not feeling it. This is a midpoint. This is a midpoint where that knowledge is like a glimpse. It's like a blinking light. This is a midpoint because we know, but we're not feeling it yet. We know, but it's not deep yet. At this point, yeah, we will still be deluded. This is blinking light knowledge. What we're talking about is this full realization, like this bright sun, where there will never be darkness again. And what is the nature of this knowledge again? He says that you will see all beings in you. Means that you will see that this entire world is nothing but you. This entire world is nothing but your awareness. Rather, it is pure awareness. So whatever we're seeing, whatever we're experiencing, anything in this world, we experience through our eyes, through our ears, through our mouth. We experience it through our senses, correct? So the experience of the world depends on our senses. So for one who cannot hear, then the world of sounds is unavailable. For one who cannot smell because of a cold, the world of smell is unavailable. So the first step is the experience of our world depends on our senses, right? And the experience of our senses depends on our mind. Because even if the eyes are open and appear to be seeing, and the ears are open and they appear to be hearing, if the mind's not there, we're not really experiencing it. And the experience of the mind depends on pure consciousness, awareness. How do we know? Because we are aware of all of our thoughts. We are aware of the arrival of our thoughts, the departure of our thoughts, the nature of our thoughts, the highs of the thoughts, the lows of the thoughts. We are aware of all of them. And their experience is dependent on this pure awareness, consciousness. But you might say that, yes, okay, experience of the world depends on awareness. And right now I'm awake, so I'm experiencing everything. But, what about when I'm sleeping? I'm not experiencing anything, but somebody else is experiencing something. So I'm sleeping, I'm not experiencing anything. My mind is shut, my senses are shut. I'm not experiencing the world, but somebody else is experiencing the world. Yes, but the fact is, everything, every being is experiencing the world through awareness. This cannot be denied. Everyone experiences the world through awareness. So yes, when I'm awake, I have a certain experience of the world. And when you're sleeping, you don't. When I'm sleeping, I don't. And when you're awake, you do. But we cannot deny that everything is experienced in awareness. And without awareness, there is no experience. You just think. Have you ever had an experience without a thought? No, it's not there. And that thought is illumined by awareness. So Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna something so incredibly deep here, that when you gain this knowledge, you will not only understand that you are Atma. You are Atma, many of us understand. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I am Atma. That's not knowledge. Knowledge is this Atma is Brahman. I am not only that pure self, but I am the substratum upon this entire world, where this entire world is superimposed. I am Brahman. That is knowledge. Many people will stop at I am Atma, but Atma is Brahman. That's a leap. That's a leap. So the fullness of this knowledge is understanding that not that I live in the world, but the world appears in awareness, which is my nature. The world appears in awareness. Then somebody will ask, well, what about God? The essence of God and the essence of me is one and the same. The essence of God is also pure awareness. So when we understand that, then there is aikya, oneness. This verse is also a mahavakya. It's a mahavakya because it's telling us the essence of God and the essence of me are one and the same. Now, you take, what is this? First, we will take Jivatma, Paramatma, then we will come to their essence. Okay? What is Jivatma? Jivatma is that being who is identified with the three bodies. Identified with the three bodies. Gross body, subtle body, the causal body. I'm sure most of you know these terms because you've studied Vedanta. So the one who's identified with these three bodies is called Jivatma. Who Who is Paramatma? The one who's associated with three bodies. Okay? But Jivatma is identified with the individual gross body, subtle body, and causal body. Paramatma is associated with the total gross bodies, the total subtle bodies, and the total causal body. So consciousness identified with the individual gross subtle causal body, it's called Jivatma. Consciousness associated with the total gross subtle causal body is called Paramatma. Why I use the term identified for Jivatma? Because Jivatma identifies with it. Paramatma doesn't identify, associates with it. Is not bound by it. When we remove the conditionings, the individual gross, subtle, causal body and the total gross, subtle, causal body, what remains is Atma. You remove the Jiva from Jivatma, you remove the Parama from Paramatma, what remains is Atma. What remains is pure consciousness alone. The closest example I can give you is the water, the wave, and the ocean. The wave is very small. The ocean is very, very big and vast. But the essence of the wave and the ocean is water. It's water alone. So remove the conditionings of the wave, remove the conditionings of the ocean, and what we will get is water. So he said, Arjuna, this knowledge is where you will see that all beings are in you and also me, meaning that you and I are one. This is the fullness and the glory of this knowledge. More of the glory of this knowledge we will take up next time. Okay? Now I'll just maybe summarize in a few lines what we have taken today. What we have taken today is how to gain that knowledge. How to gain that knowledge is first to become a fit student. What is the description of a fit student? 3 things. The attitude of surrender, the attitude for the right inquiry, and the proper tuning with the teacher. When I come with full surrender, with the proper inquiry after deep examination, and with the proper tuning with the teacher, I become a fit student. But who is the fit teacher? The fit teacher is the one who has mastery of the scriptures and a direct realization of the truth, who is not killed by any desire. A Kamahatami does not have desires for the world, does not have any thought or want of anything. The only thing the teacher may want is the evolution of the student. And that teacher must belong to a parampara, a lineage. What happens when the two meet? Fireworks. This beautiful knowledge is gained by which one will never be deluded again. What is that knowledge? Not only will I learn that I am Atman, the one who's beyond the body, mind, and intellect, but I am Brahman, the substratum of the entire world of names and forms. And that the essence of me, the essence of God are one and the same. Tat Tvam Asi. I am Atma Brahma. All right, we stop here today. I'll say the closing prayers, and then if anybody has questions, you can stay back. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Shishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.